Shall I start? Yeah. Hi, my name's Seb Chan, and I'm speaking here from a bubble country. It's 1 a.m. here, I'm in the bubble of Australia, and our COVID landscape, and thus our community trauma, has been very different from that of Europe and other countries. Similarly, Australia as a nation didn't have the same decade of austerity following the 2008 GFC, and that feels like an important context to set comments. So I work at this state-funded Museum of Moving Image Art that is in the centre of Melbourne. We focus on the moving image as well as film, TV and video games. We reopened in February 2021, a couple of months ago, following major capital works that meant the museum had actually been closed before COVID and had been closed since mid-2019. And because of where I am positioned in Australia and in this rather unique situation, I offer a glimpse to one of many possible futures for museums and creativity. With an even more fragmented world as as a result of the COVID, there are now many different possible futures emerging. And I often think that this new century, the 21st century, actually finally began in 2021. As our societies fragment further and faster, we still share one singular commonality: becoming decades of climate crisis. But I'm here to talk briefly about museums. Museums are inherently about change, even if that change is simply the expending of energy to try in vain to keep the past and its objects in stasis forever. And that constant spectre of change is something that museums and the communities that support museums will need to draw upon. This has been, of course, brewing since well before 2020, but was hidden in the record-breaking visitation to large museums throughout the 2010s. The near future of museums emerging from the COVID crisis is definitely one of less tourism. For the cities that have built and invested in museums as part of a visitor economy, there is an opportunity and a need to rethink. In my case, in Australia, our federal government has just advised that international borders will likely remain closed until mid-2022, so that when those visitors do return to museums, they won't behave or necessarily want the same experiences they used to. The museum that I work for reopened to the public, as I said, in February. And since February, we have been experiencing quite a different visitor base. Without any tourists, we are attracting different locals, many of whom have never visited before. But it has taken 3 months for us to reach just over 50% of our previous visitation, and that is with a full suite of new exhibitions and marketing to match. And it isn't 50% spread evenly throughout the week, and instead our weekday and weekend visitation almost represent totally different museums. This is exhausting for our staff, and it is very, very challenging for our revenue models. Are our cities ready for a museum that doesn't contribute to cultural tourism? And how might our cities need to be redesigned? Maybe those visitors too will want all of those digital experiences that many museums built during lockdown. And we've found that the rapid pivot to digital has opened up a very wide gap between museums who had previously invested in digital skills and the infrastructure to deliver them, and those who hadn't. New opportunities have emerged during COVID too. Digital repatriation has become something we talk about more, virtual tourism, and even a renewed awareness of the need for digital preservation of the lived digital memories of the past year. As I said, it often feels as if we're at kind of the beginning now of a new century. There are kind of demands for a new social contract between our societies and museums. There are also demands for more kind of representative collection of policies, repatriation, and also reparations for colonialism. For museums of art, there is also a need to align closer to where creative practice is heading, rather than the ever-growing gap between the young artists and kind of the microcosm of the, in quotes, fine art market and contemporary art fairs. This widening gap is almost reaching a breaking point. For museums that are historical, the clamour of other previously silenced voices asking that their kind of stories are to be told too. At its heart, this is about repositioning museums and making them part of a new emerging creative and cultural ecology. This is a shift for modern museums from providing utility to a city government, perhaps as an economic attractor, to providing utility directly to its citizens. Museums could be democratic spaces. Museums should be curiosity machines, because museums do offer us persistence in an age of ephemerality. Museums could also provide refuge from a climate crisis. Museums could be agora. Libraries are ahead of museums in this kind of shift, and they have weathered 2 decades of the rise of search and also e-books. Now public libraries more closely resemble community centres. Museums can also make this journey. Sometimes everything needs a rethink, and we were fortunate to be on that kind of a journey even before COVID. So this is our museum in Melbourne again, and I'm just going to play a short clip that shows what has been a 5-year journey, a strategic journey where we've rethought the programming, the architecture and technology that drives kind of the museum. This museum puts the story of cinema in a much longer arc of first kind of a nation storytelling, stretching back tens of thousands of kind of years. We have 4 galleries. We have two cinemas in our building, alongside education labs and studios. And our collection of preservation facility is now part of our public experience and public display. We also run a co-working space, a co-working space for kind of digital artists and filmmakers, as well as a video on kind of demand platform and an on kind of a line gallery for contemporary net art. And every visitor gets a cardboard disc we call the lens, so they can collect everything that they like and see to take home or watch and to play later. Since February, visitors have collected 1.4 million things from our collection to take home. And when our borders open and we're all vaccinated, please come and visit us. Thank you.